This is the regular board itemized deed. It is now 5:31 p.m. on March 2nd, 2020, and we have a quorum. Ms. Able, will you lead us in the pledge, and Mr. Everett, after you, the invitation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, this again, the Master, we pray bow heads and normal hearts, oh God. We come say thank you, Lord God, for this another day's journey to your promise, Father. Lord, you know our hearts, you know our desires, Father. We pray this community, Father, that your desire be our desire, Father. As we go through this meeting, dear Father, we pray, oh God, that all things be done decently and Lord. We pray, Master, that you continue to lead us, guide us, and direct us in all that we say and do. Yes, God, these blessings, God, in the son of Christ Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. We think we can sign up for public.
I need a motion to approve the consent items as presented in the minutes of the regular board meeting of February 10th, 2020, and approving Dr. Richardson, superintendent, to serve on the Region 7 Regional Advisory Committee for 2020-2021.
Mr. President, I so move.
Ms. McClellan's made a motion. Ms. Smith made a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously.
The first thing, kind of let everyone know, is the pre-K program. You know, one of the things we are doing is offering our pre-K program in light of Head Start next year. The pre-K program will be offered to employees, children, as an incentive. And so we already have in legal policy, it's shall. And so legal has advised us just to make it an administrative guideline to offer the position. Offer if there's room available to our employees. And so I'm just letting you know that's going to be a perk for our employees. If they have small children, they can send them to our pre-K program. The next item is budget update. Again, this is a very preliminary budget update. Mr. Milam's going to kind of touch base on that, kind of show you where we are currently right now and where we might be in the future. There's still a lot of things out there currently. Just understand it always, you go back and you look at the history, it starts here and ends here. So don't be too excited about this right now, but we want to start giving you an update like we do every spring.
All right, so if you remember back in August when we adopted the budget, it was a little over $200,000 surplus budget. And what we do is 36 weeks, and now 4 to 6 weeks when it ends, we're going to be entering the student data that drives that funding mechanism. So after entering all the student data, all the FTEs, from CTE, from special ed, all those sorts of things, the budget now is a surplus of 109. Now that takes into account, which we did budget for, was the bus routes and the marquee sign at the primary. So those expenditures are part of that. So that's why it did go down a little bit. And so that's where we stand on the M&O side currently. Now on the INS side, our bond payment, just within this 1 year, we're estimating around $884,000 in surplus just for this 1 year. That's of course after bond payments have been paid. And that doesn't include the roll forward from last year. So I included that down at the bottom. So at the end of this year, August 31st, after all bond payments have been paid, we estimate to have a little over $1 million in surplus to go to pay for bonds. And so I think that's a pretty good spot that we're in right now.
We met with Christian, was it last week?
Yes.
And he's putting together, we gave him some ideas. We wanted to see if paying off bonds, of course, sooner, and then also to keep the tax rate at the same level, can we use a percentage every year, let's just say $250,000, and apply that toward our bond payment and keep that much money in the INS side. So again, we'll have more of those answers and hopefully a chart for you at the next board meeting to kind of show you what we're looking at there.
So that's current year. So let's look at next year. there are two different scenarios. What finance templates show us right now is our M&O rate will be 0.9564. And that is the state calculated. That's not something that we choose. That's what the state's going to tell us. That's what our compressed rate will be. We do have an option, Dr. Richard probably talked about it a little bit, of an extra penny. You want to really talk about that?
Only next year do we have an opportunity to raise our M&O 1 penny. It has to be board unanimous decision to do this. And this would give us, you'll see the difference here in a second. If currently right now, if we kept the tax rate, let me go back and kind of give you an idea. We're sitting at right now 97 cents. Next year, it'll compress down to 95, but it gives you an opportunity to raise it up a penny on the M&O side. Now, it's the only year that this can take place. And with that penny, you're going to gain, as you will see over here on the right side, if we were to gain a penny, we're up to that amount. So we would go from 203, we just about double by raising a penny, because the state's going to give us more money for that penny. And so we wanted to be able to show you the difference there. Also, that kind of goes into our bond payment. To keep the tax rate the same as what we're proposing, we would lower the INS side down a penny, because we're going up on the M&O side 1 penny. And so our tax rate is still going to be 1.207. And next year is a great year because it's one of our lowest years for a bond payment. So it gives us that opportunity and that flexibility to do that.
Are there any drawbacks at all?
No, none whatsoever. It's kind of a no-brainer.
So we're not losing that roughly 100,000 on that bond payment of 1.2 million, 1.6 million, 1.1 million. We're gaining that?
Yes.
And our bond payment next year is, it's going to be the lowest that it's going to be.
The schedule is, I'll link it, the schedule on that bond payment, if you want to look at the schedule.
Now, we're going to have an updated schedule with different alternatives. But as you'll see, and I guess this one doesn't have it. I was thinking maybe this one would have the, where the tax rate would go up. Is that?
No, that's a different document.
Yeah.
This is just basically our payments.
Yeah.
That's like one thing.
Yeah. Because that's when we were gonna schedule to go up quite a few, almost 20 pennies. And so that's why we said, let's move the INS, let's keep the INS this year at this rate, so we don't have to hit it all in one lump sum. So, and this also helps us not to have to do a TRE also.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And so that 400 surplus, when we decide to add the penny, that's going to be 400 surplus. Now, there's things to consider. If you go down a little bit, extra expenses that we're going to incur next year, and that is going to be the pay step increase. The teacher's going to gain just from pure experience. They're going to get a raise based on just getting an extra year experience. There's probably going to be an increase in insurance, Head Start. Those folks moved from federally funded to now we got to fund them, so there's going to be some costs incurred there. And so if you go back up, sir, keep going. All right, so that row, those rows there, that 1%, that's basically if you give teachers 1-step pay raise, they get their step, and then a 1% raise for all the others, counselors, custodians, admin, maintenance, all those guys that aren't on the teacher pay scale, so to speak. So the increase, our expenditure is around $227,000. And if it's 1.5, it's that 2% and 3%. So just kind of give you an estimate of what those raises would be.
That includes their step and the
Uh,
3%.
No, sir, the teachers, it just includes the step.
It just includes a step for the teachers.
You're the only ones who get the stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, but that total number right there.
That includes the step, yes, sir, and 1%.
and we'll have a better idea. We will do a survey some districts to see where we are. If you'll recall last year when we were doing all the salary adjustments and adding the money in, we kind of went out on a limb. We didn't go too far out there, but we also just wanted to still be competitive. And we feel like we are competitive, but we will also be doing that, survey some area districts with what they have. Now, we won't know where they're going to, but we can have an idea of where we stand right now. And I know we've already started talking to employees in other districts, and we're I think when you say we're pretty competitive right now as we sit right now.
The projected number of students for this year, did it pan out to be what was projected? Did we have a
Close.
bigger loss or gain than we anticipated?
The FTEs, what drives it, not necessarily just the number of kids, but what they're a part of. Are they special ed? Are they ESL? I mean, there's a lot of different things. It's the type of kid and what they're enrolled in that really drives those numbers. And those were about kind of where we thought they would be. And again, property values, what's going to drive a lot of it too.
And see, we had kind of predicted our property values would be lower. If you'll recall, when we did the bond refi, one of the things that I made sure of was that our property value was going to be, the plant would be gone in 5 years. Well, we're way ahead where that is. So that's going to adjust the tax rate to the better part. That's going to help us because we predicted worst case scenario. Every year it's going to drop this much, this much, this much. It did not drop as much as we predicted. Is there anything else? Or
Isn't there a scenario from the state if we lost quite a bit from the power plant, or were they supposed to make up something? Or
Yeah, I mean, if you lose value, they're going to help kick in that part. Now, you know, the thing that the state did this year is they capped everything about 2.5%. They're not going to let you, if your values cannot rise, you're not going to gain more than 2.5% of revenue. They're
Right.
keeping these districts to where they were.
even if we had more revenue, they're not going
Yeah,
to
we'll be
say.
recaptured back in, yes, sir. And we're not in recapture right now. And actually, if we were, this penny that the board would vote in a future date for unanimous is not subject to recapture too. So that's kind of preliminary. We're looking good right now. And again, we will have more to show later on also.
One thing I'd like to add, just an informational thing, as far as this year's budget, and if you go back to this year's projections. Down a little bit, that 109, now we still gonna have to make some adjustments throughout this year, adjusting the budget for needs that we probably have already incurred as far as attorney fees and things of that nature that may be adjusted later in the year. So would suggest that we earmark that money for anything.
No. All right, thanks, sir. Next item I have is consider and approve certification of unopposed candidates for the Tatum ISD trustee election. Again, the election has been canceled, but before we can cancel it, we have to certify unopposed candidates. So that's what I'm asking the board to do at this point.
I need a motion to approve the certification of unopposed candidates, Mr. Steven Skinner, place 6, and Mrs. Karen McElwain, place 7, for the May 2nd, 2020 Tatum ISD Board of Trustee election.
Mr. President, I so move.
Mr. Williams made a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Anderson, second. All those in favor? Motion.
Next item that we do after we've certified unopposed candidates is order the cancellation.
I need a motion to approve the order of cancellation for the May 2nd, 2020 Tatum ISD Board of Trustees election in accordance with section 2.053A of the Texas Election Code. Mr. Stephen Skinner, place 6, and Mrs. Karen McElwain, place 7, have been certified as unopposed and are hereby elected to the Tatum ISD Board of Trustees.
Mr. President, I move that we cancel the election, see if it's out. Nobody ran, it's gonna save the school district probably $3,000 or more because nobody came out and opposed. We did not have to have that election.
Mr. Smith has made a motion.
A second.
Ms. Amon has made a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. The motion carries.
Next thing, Mr. Fight's going to talk to us about the calendar.
In our last VIP meeting, we brought forth 4 school calendars that were in different places, some local, some outside the area. Within those 4, the committee went and we hashed out on dates that were important and thought that would be beneficial to the district in moving forward. Of course, when you're talking about 187 days for teachers, when it comes to minutes, you're talking about 75,600 minutes. So with that, we do meet that threshold, and 2 bad weather days, again, it's already built into the school calendar. The one thing that was, I guess you could say, likable turn every year, the last 2 years I know, was having 3 weekends in the December. One of those, that was a big thing of trying to have 3 weekends again. And if you notice, they're not coming back till the 5th. So that still gives you New Year's on that Friday, and then having a day to kind of get back before the kids come in and then start back on the 5th. The other thing was having a Good Friday. The only difference is right now is that on March 31st is when that 6 weeks really ends at the middle of the middle of the week, which is a little different. But they do have Thursday and Friday off because they wanted to have that day back, because if you notice in April, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th is all testing. So being able to come back to school and not have that Friday off and the Monday, and then come back Tuesday and everybody's testing. So that's the reason why it's kind of structured the way it is. Other than that, it's pretty much the same, with still some early dismissals on the days that you see in the yellow of the professional development, and early dismissal should be blue.
End of every 6 weeks.
Right, and that's kind of a recap, teachers having time to do things, get grades ready, and tidy up things at the end of each 6 weeks. So that's kind of the norm that they kind of want over a period of time.
The 2nd and the 5th are going to be holidays. We had that this year. The teachers really enjoyed having that. That's around our bye week, I believe, for football next year.
If you remember, we changed it this year because it was a week off, and we ended up making an amendment and moving it back because it's open week. Here, it's already an open week on that Friday, and then have a Monday off. So actually, homecoming this week is on the 9th.
Okay, that's on next. Okay.
Yes. So we got to move back a week.
The only thing that is going to be different is President's Day is going to be
February.
the 15th, and that'll be a staff development day. So,
And thing too, on the last, if you notice, the last year was a year that teachers got out, and actually this year too, won't be too many days after school. It kind of makes it tough. When the students get out, teachers out, you have no time to sit down. You're talking about end of year conferences, you're talking about getting things that's needed going into the summer. If you look at this upcoming one that's voted on, you have 3 days there. is coming back for that following week to kind of tidy up in the year and, develop things going into the summer for the upcoming year, makes it a lot easier as opposed to they're gone the same day the kids are or the next day. It makes it pretty quick, so. That's
So,
one
Mr.
thing.
Fox,
Adding on.
would graduation then be like on the 21st?
The
Or would that
campus
not be
committee
until-
team, the campus high school committee, will decide on that day. So it can be on that Thursday or that Friday.
Mr. Frank, we got 2 weeks of STAR testing is in May. Is that makeup days or are they still official STAR
It's
testing?
an official start date.
State track meet,
Be the second week in May,
14th.
Mother's Day weekend.
But I'm still, it's a STAR day.
Correct. Yeah. And this,
They changed it.
That would be this,
That's our order.
Anybody running that day or they have?
We hope, we hope we have.
well, this is a year
It's
away,
your way.
a year away. I would imagine, UIL or TA will get together on
they've
that.
had this problem in the past. It wasn't so much the state meet, it was a regional track meet. And they, on that particular year, they had kids taking tests at the site. Which, when you talk about
That's
problems,
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Week before. Cause it's always second Sunday.
Second Sunday.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's gonna be on the night.
I always like that state track meet.
So the track meet, like to
To
do.
be a bad weather day where you got so many people. Maybe it won't be so many people.
And they ended up changing because it didn't work out well, because you're talking about confidentiality, you're talking about kids coming from all in different schools and going to one place, having people there to test them. And they didn't think that out, it wasn't thought out very well, so I don't see it's gonna be still taking, you gotta take tests in the home district. And I just can't see that. Once again, confidentiality, that presents a big problem.
And overwhelmingly, our staff, they got to vote once again, and overwhelmingly, they chose this campus.
Well, if they're happy with that.
Yeah.
So do I have a motion to approve the calendar for school year 2020-2021 as presented?
Mr. President, I so move.
Ms. Blackman, made a motion. Mr. Skinner, your second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Next item is the Russ County Special Education Shared Services Arrangement. All superintendents have gone through this, and it is our recommendation for approval. Since we are the fiscal agent, I have to have this on our board agenda to approve. And the changes were noted.
Do I have a motion to approve the Russell County Special Education Shared Services Arrangement Agreement as presented?
Mr. President, I move we approve the Russell County Special Education Shared Services Arrangement Agreement.
Mr. Smith made a motion.
Second.
Mr. Everett Adams, a second. All those in favor? Motion carries. The board will now convene in a closed meeting to discuss the following items posted on our agenda this evening as allowed by the Texas Government Code 551.074. Personnel matters involving contract renewals for administrators, probationary and term contract for professional employees, and resignations of professional personnel. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussion in this closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in open meeting. It is now 5:55 p.m.
Stay here. See y'all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. See you, Jennifer.